Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. It is July 22nd, 2008. See, I got the date right.
You even got the year right that time.
And I got the year right. I left for a month and I came back and I've got my calendar straight. We're back from E3. The regular crew is here, though sadly we're still missing Sean Malloy. I'll just say it because we're all thinking it. Fuck you, Sean, for going to Blizzard. That's all I have to say.
Damn his eyes.
Come back.
I'm just kidding. I'm happy he's there. No, I'm not. We got a special guest here this week. You heard his natty English accent for 1 second just now. Mr. Rod Humble from EA.
Hello, everybody.
You're like the head of the Sims franchise? What's your title?
I'm head of the Sims studio.
Oh, even better.
So it's the Sims and SimCity and My Sims and those wonderful web things we do, like Carnival, that you guys love.
So you're kind of a big shot.
Well, I don't know about that.
We'll take you down a few pegs.
I think you will. If the pre-chatter is anything to go by, I'm in for
Ryan
a rough ride.
If you disagree with Ryan about the status of DC Comics characters, he will.
There we go. Yeah.
Get him pretty harsh.
So Ryan and Sean are here too.
Hi.
Hello.
And Skip is producing. He's wearing a Brewer shirt and he's all clean cut looking. It's really kind of creepy. There.
Okay, so
that's where we're at. Okay, so
you're leaving at 3:30.
That's right. We have a hard stop today. We're going to podcast for like a little over an hour because I'm going to see Dark Knight. So there, I'm admitting it.
That's
on
a good
air.
reason.
I'm leaving midday to go see the Batman movie. Well, it's not midday.
Yeah, it is.
Late. Okay, it's midday.
Ryan approves. Have you seen it yet, Ryan?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
I saw it opening night.
Day one.
Yeah.
Did you take your fiance?
Uh-huh.
Did she like it as much as you?
She was, yeah, she's
Did
totally
she want
into
to
those
go,
movies.
or did
yeah.
you drag her?
She's as big of a geek as I am. Yeah.
Or is she just pretending that?
No, she's...
Because she likes
She
you.
comes from a family of nerds who play D&D and
Wow.
love Lord of the Rings and have
Okay.
posters of Middle-earth on their walls.
So she's not humoring you.
No, she's into it.
Is there Joker cosplay in your future this year?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Well, you never know. She could want to dress you up. She tried to dress you up as Doctor Who. She did dress you up as Doctor Who.
She did.
She did not. That was half my idea. Those are like normal clothes.
But yet
It's
she
just
didn't
shit
do
I
it.
don't wanna know.
I did it.
It's for like.
You guys often
convention.
talk about bedroom antics.
Yeah, see, I don't want to know.
that's-
Yeah.
It's like
No,
that
not-
scene in
Not
Trekkies.
that kind of dressing up.
There's
Oh,
like the-
okay. Well, in that case, now I look like the sick one. That's
There's
Where's
that
your mind? Gosh.
There's the scene in Trekkies where the couple runs Star Trek Dental. You seen that, Rod?
No.
What?
And they run a dentist's office, and the theme is Star Trek, and they take turns dressing up. And then when the interview was asking them who dresses as who, it turns out that the guy dresses as, I don't remember, the psychic chick from Next Generation. I don't remember her name. And then the wife dresses up as Data, and then it just went from this normal discussion about like, oh, look there's phasers on the walls and all this stuff, and it ended up in their bedroom with them. It just reminded me of where we were going with Ryan's.
I can see that.
This
You
is
can.
all for conventions.
Deanna Troi. I remember it. Yeah.
I have a boring life.
So before we start, the thing I was bitching about
Yeah.
Batman, it's just that, I don't know, it could just be anti-hype or whatever, but anytime you go online anywhere, like I was posting some pictures and I was using like TinyPic or whatever, some image hosting service, and they have like the sample popular pics, and they're always of like the Joker or something. They look like they're just designed for cell phone wallpapers and stuff. And it reminds me of like when The Crow came out, and it's just like the saddest element in high schools throughout the country, and like the tastemakers at Hot Topic. It's like that store in the mall that sells you like a Jack Skellington sweater or something, tells you you're punk rock for it. Like, I don't know, man. It's just designed for that. And then there's the other additional thing. I think anytime there's someone who plays a psychopathic character well, it gets a little more like attention than it deserves. Like, in my mind, like Matthew Modine's performance was superior to whoever played Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket, but it's like because the crazy character stands out. You think of this all the time too.
Sure.
Nicholson in The Shining, and these are all great performances, but it's like people just really latch onto it. Whoa, like it's like it's like play the retarded character or the autistic one, or Sean Penn and his
play
roles.
Rain Man and get an Oscar,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's great.
It is hard. I mean, it's totally hard to know. It's impossible to know how this reaction would be if Heath Ledger hadn't died, right? I mean, if we'd be going through the same thing hype-wise that we are now.
Like Brandon Lee in The Crow.
Right. It's exactly like that. Yeah.
And also, too, seeing that something about, I mean, I know it's comic books, but when I see a trailer and I see a millionaire in a Halloween costume riding a motorcycle with, like, machine guns and rockets on the front, that's just silly to me. I mean,
well,
I
now
always...
you're bashing Batman in general.
No, but I always
that ain't
did,
right.
I did like Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's Year One, and that's where, like, you know, if Batman was dressing up as Bruce Wayne was dressing up as anything, it was like as like a bum or something with a shopping cart downtown. And I mean, they brought in some things, some of the, you know, the bad accoutrements at some point in there, but it was just toned down enough where. I don't know, man. That guy goes by in that motorcycle.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and the trailer does worry me just because Batman Begins I love so much because it was so not about that, about all the gadgets and just the special effects. Like, it was so low key in terms of that. Like, you didn't even see, you know, the shit on his utility belt or even the Batman persona till like a good, you know, 90 minutes into this movie. Right. Whereas the TV commercial and the trailer online is just all about the explosions and the motorcycle. But I don't know, maybe that's how they make
the movies started.
That's how they make commercials. I don't know.
The movie started. Well, look, talk about people playing crazy characters. Jack Nicholson as the Joker in Burton's Batman was great, but then that series went down the line where it was increasingly just for like yucks and toys. So like the last one, Shoemaker or whatever,
the George
it had
Clooney
like
one?
every character and vehicle and thing in the Batman universe, and so it was like, is this going that direction?
It's really hard to believe Chris Nolan would do that.
This movie is similar to Batman Begins in that way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a bit more James Bond type stuff, you know, as far as, you know, but it's not.
I heard there's a lot less Christian Bale, or a lot less of him, you know, acting brutally. It's like, it's more about the Joker than it is about Batman.
It's about the Joker and it's about Harvey Dent.
I'm still really impressed how the film industry can turn on that level of public awareness. I mean, I guess I'm an inhuman machine who believes in marketing, but I'm like, wow, how did they get that buzz going? You know?
I know, I agree with you.
I mean, films just, they snap their fingers and it's like front page coverage on CNN. And
yeah, it's weird how it happened with this movie. Because Batman Begins, I mean, it got some hype, but not like this. It's like all of a sudden
one of the key cast members die during production is,
I guess,
one way to get the hype machine going. Sadly, but
I guess that'd be a good studio strategy. Just kill off one of your.
I don't think it'll work for games. Our programmer died, so and
you have your character. Someone lost the code for. You'll never be able to put him in a sequel. You'll never be able to replicate that sim.
Oh, right, for an in-game character.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, it won't work.
I still have a sealed copy, Rod, of Simcopter.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
That had one of the coolest Easter eggs ever.
That's why I still have it sealed.
That was
for
cool.
Future eBay selling.
That was a good game.
Imagine your wife overhearing that. Like if you guys were in line together to see Batman.
We're such nerds.
A sealed copy of Simcopter.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
I actually had that at E3. I was like, I've been going to E3 or CES for, I don't know, 18 years. And I'm still like giggling like a schoolboy when I'm like just standing in line to the games. I guess we're going to see some games. So it's going in.
Yeah.
So which ones were you giggling for this year?
This year I saw, I told Jeff at the show, I loved Valkyrie Chronicles, Sega's PS3 title, which is let me get all of the letters in. It's a turn-based first-person shooter with tactical role-playing elements. It's set, of course, in an alternate World War II where the Japanese characters are saving England. That's a given. So you put that, that's a obvious.
How do we arrive at that?
but the gameplay, I picked up, I was like, this is awesome. This is really fun. Huh. You know, they've got opportunity fire as you're moving around. You can, the shooting, when you go to shoot mode, everything pauses for you so you don't feel stressed. I liked it. It's like, it's my kind of shooter.
I remember seeing it at their Editors' Day they had a while ago, and it was really bizarre. I mean, everything you're saying is... And I also remember the art style, too, was very cool as well.
Yeah, it's very hand-drawn.
Yeah, like looks like a kind of painted thing. So, yeah. So was that like your game of the show, quote-unquote? Or?
For me, it was, yeah. Apart from, obviously, every EA game, which is fantastic.
Of course.
I love that. What else did I see at the show? I guess it's Sega's Day. Space Siege, I thought was Looking
I
kinda
didn't
good.
see that over there.
Yeah, it was really
There's
cool.
so much I missed.
Yeah, it was a good show. And the indie section on the Indiecade was really good.
Didn't see that either. How did you see all this stuff? Did you have to like sit in your?
I
Why
just-
did you see more than we did?
I just slack off. Like,
Yeah. We should hire you.
Because we were assigned to cover certain beats, so it just meant not being able to see other things. Like I didn't get to see Sony's section. There's a bunch of stuff at Ubisoft I would like to see. We just weren't allowed in there.
Yeah.
There's I don't know. I think I heard about a number of different things. It's like, oh shit, those were at the show. I missed them. I wanted to ask you though. This show, a lot of people were reacting negatively to like Nintendo's press conference and stuff, and as being someone who's in charge of a mass market and a franchise that just goes beyond the typical person that updates that hits F5 on 1UP all during E3 week. What did you make of Nintendo's press conference?
I think Nintendo can do whatever they want this year. That's, I mean, really, I don't think they've got much to prove to us, and I think that I liked. I could have done without them telling me just how well they'd done because I already knew. But
Right.
I guess it's kind of good news. It's like, okay, you did really well. I thought Wii Music was exciting. I liked Animal Crossing, and
Was it kind of odd though watching for anyone else watching?
the drummer guy.
Well, not even that. It was more when Miyamoto came up because I swear to God, his Wii looked like Uncle Sam drew it in 1942 or something. And then then he's up there playing.
I got to touch him at C3. First time I've ever met him, and I got to touch him.
Really?
He came to EA's booth, and our general counsel who handles the relationship with Nintendo said, "Hey, we're going to need somebody to basically be a gopher and cart him around. Have we got some spare exec?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I got to do it. He was awesome. He was just totally like, who are you little people? But was very interested in the games. He loved, not surprising given he's a platform designer. He spent a lot of time on Mirror's Edge of like, how do you make how do you make a first person platform? And then they took him downstairs and he was jumping up and down on skate. And it was just great to see him excited at games because I guess he does that tour every year. So he went to Microsoft and Sony to check out their stuff. And it's a privilege to see him go around and to see him as excited as
I would think
as
that
we
would
are.
be terrifying. You don't want Miyamoto like looking at your game and just scoffing or whatever.
I don't think he'd ever do that.
No.
I don't think he'd ever.
Were you able to get any insight from him? I mean, just get him to open up and talk about
No.
candidly about his thoughts on what he was seeing.
No, I burbled Miyamoto-san. I don't know whether my head touched the floor as I bowed, but it was pretty deep. And then I sort of shuffled around with with various Nintendo execs, saying, "Is he happy? Does he like that? Is he done now? Should I move now? Would you like a Coke?"
Nice.
I mean, it was
So
it was
it
so
would just
awesome.
seem too presumptuous or something, even
Yeah,
for someone in
yeah.
your position.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, there's like a caste system in gaming development.
No, there's not. It's a respect issue. I mean, the guy's there to see games. He's obviously got a short time. I don't want to bug him.
Right.
Yeah, if he wants to go out drinking, Mr. Miyamoto-san, I invite you.
Yeah.
If you want to go out drinking.
Yeah, if he's like soliciting your questions and your
Yeah.
opinion, then it's clear.
Yeah, but I mean, most people in gaming, and I assume him as well, but they're just geeks and nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Wright's just a great guy to hang out with.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
He's just funny, and I mean, you saw the EA event, and I wasn't allowed to say it at the show, but I was telling Riccatello it was basically nerds on stage, and wanted us to go and join arms and tap dance across, but he didn't think that would work.
Yeah, Will Wright is amazing that way. He, when you think about, I have no clue how much money he has, but it's got to be a lot, right? I mean,
I think so.
given his success, and he's just you would never know in a million years if you were just like, I mean, I remember like 2 or 3 E3s ago when we were all piling onto the Southwest plane to go down to E3, and we saw him on the same plane, in coach, and we were like, dude, take your jet
I feel like
down
Jesse
there.
Jackson in Southwest on coach.
Huh?
Coming back from E3, Jesse Jackson was in coach
Really?
in Southwest too one time. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Just
okay.
a pointless anecdote. Dude, airfare, man, save money. No, but it's cool to see like Will not. I mean, I don't know. There's like when people get a lot of money, it's like what do? They invest in like jets and stuff, or it's like Will, you make your own BattleBot center and collect stuff from.
I think it's
Russian
great.
Cosmonauts.
I mean, another one is Gabe Newell. I mean, that guy is like the least pretentious guy you're ever going to meet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's all about the games.
Mm-hmm.
Are they fun?
I insulted him on my live blog. He's probably never going to talk to me again.
Well, yeah, I've just said something nice about him, so it makes
yeah,
up
we're
for
making
it, right?
up for it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry,
I
Gabe.
mean, are you in trouble? I mean, you were kind of playing a shtick for.
I was doing.
You thought you were
it was just
Yahtzee or
jokes.
something of the Yahtzee of live blogging at E3.
I
You
was
got
just-
in deep shit for it.
I did. I actually got cornered at the Rock Band party. You know, the Who concert. I got cornered before they let us in by a representative of EA and Take-Two, the two companies I live blogged. There were two PR people who came up, and they were each gonna knee me in one testicle apiece. So,
Well, I forgive you for the hair comment.
I said you had a nice haircut.
I know.
That's what
I
said.
didn't. I
You have
understand
to-
what the problem was.
I complimented you. I guess Take-Two was madder than EA was, and actually the comment was that I had more personal insults in about like the presenters than I did at the EA one.
Well, it's texture. I think the audience needs to know.
I was just trying to say, like, here's what it's like to be sitting there, and whoa, that dude kind of looks like McCain. I mean, that's all I was doing. I didn't mean it in a bad way.
I still want to know
Maybe
because
I think McCain's hot looking.
we taped a podcast the day before you went to that and live blogged that, and we were talking about the Borderlands demonstration with Randy Pitchford, and then you went, of course, and you got the exact same thing with the same level of excitement. But I heard that there were people that were kind of like laughing and giggling during that. And I just I don't know. I wanted to think that maybe they had heard the podcast the night before or something.
Yeah, I saw him do that shtick twice in a row. Once, in the room where they were doing Borderlands, and then once at the Take-Two press conference in front of a bigger crowd where he's playing his own game, or he's got a couple guys, from Gearbox playing, and he's commenting on it. And nobody loves Borderlands more than Randy Pitchford. He can't get enough of it. It's kind of endearing. That's
great.
I mean, I don't mean to bag on the guy. It's just funny to watch, because normally you get, when you're getting a demo, I mean, you know what it's like to give a demo.
The demo face comes on.
Right.
And whatever it is you don't like is beta. That's
right.
the rule. Don't look at that texture. That's going to change. You didn't like that, right?
And he right, but he has none of the sort of nervousness or apologetic sort of like, oh, he's just sort of like, this is awesome.
It worked too.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at one of I think it was Kotaku's live blog of the same thing. There, we were making fun of how at the end of this demo. Did you see the Borderlands demo?
I didn't.
Well,
I hear 50,000 weapons or something.
Yeah, 500,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And they bring out this character at the end, and it's just like the most random. I compared him to like an NPC quest giver in Auto Assault, to give you an idea of just like how his role in the larger universe, his importance. And the guy comes out, and they act like it's the biggest cliffhanger in any gaming demonstration you've ever seen. And they're like, that's Mordecai, but you don't get to see what he does. And like there were people that when they live blogged, they're like, "Oh God, here comes Mordecai!"
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
"No,
Yeah.
we have to wait."
As if Darth Vader had come back or something.
What was
yeah,
it?
like with some big, humongous, like. Yeah, I know. And for those, I mean, some of us sitting there like us, we were like, "What?" Like, sorry, we're not going to tell you about Mordecai. I'm like, okay. Well, good, because we wanted to leave anyway.
So, Rob, what's in demonstrations you've given? What's the most excited you've ever had to be about something that you probably suspected your audience wasn't anywhere near as excited about?
Well, as you can tell, and as my wonderful PR handler will assure you, I'm not the
He's got a handler behind him here, by the way.
I'm not the most dynamic person in the world. So for me to come in, I'm not going to bound onto the stage totally pumped. It's just not me.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of demos where, and I've tried to get out of the habit, but you do catch yourself when you start doing the apology demo, which is, it's like the amount of times, and it's not like this game because of X. And by the way, that feature isn't in yet, and it's early beta. And well, actually, although it's nearly final, we're shipping next month, we're still changing a bunch of stuff that you've just said you didn't like, so don't worry about that. And it's gonna sell great because we say it is. And what? Oh yeah, that did have a bad review, but that's okay. That was a different publication. So yeah, I've had those gently backing away as I'm demoing something until I sort of talk myself into a corner.
So
they're the worst.
Are you ever demoing a game where you just either the game isn't that good, or you just get the feeling that it's not going over well while you're demoing it, like you're sort of in a flop sweat, like I can't wait to get the hell out of here.
I've had a lot
these
more.
Guys are hating my game.
I've had a lot more of B.
A lot more of B.
I mean, with A, I genuinely get enthusiastic about most games, although possibly not as enthusiastic as this Borderlands guy. I got to see this.
Yeah.
But
again, no offense to Randy. I mean, we're happy.
No, I think
he's
that's awesome.
Not at all.
But it's just, it was just a weird disconnect between his level of excitement and our level of anticipation for Mordecai's demise.
Well, it's just, when somebody's being that enthusiastic about their own thing, it's kind of, there's not much room left for you to also like it. Well, glad you're enjoying it so much. Well,
You're right. Randy maybe isn't daring to me because he reminds me of my dad. It's like whenever you go to visit him, he's got to show you everything and take you on these tours. And no matter who's with me, I'll go with my girlfriend and he'll insist on taking us down to his garage and showing us all of his guns, and he'll make Melissa hold them all. Here, try the action on this. Go ahead and load it up. And Melissa's just horrified. No interest whatsoever. But it's not just stop. You have to go through every single gun in the arsenal. So it's kind of like that, or
but not 500,000 of them.
But yeah, he's got 12 instead of 500,000.
500,000 is awesome.
We're just clowning on Randy.
So
but I've had those interviews where I just know it's gone south. The pointed questions come in.
Right.
Which is not at The Sims, of course. I've never had these questions, but at other places, And how do you feel this is appropriate to this franchise? Words such as, do you think that this game still has legs after all these years, or why should I be excited about this title? That's always a giveaway right there. After I've just told them for half an hour why I'm excited. And why would I be excited about this title? I don't think you're going to be. I pretty much think you hate it.
It seems like it'd be even more awkward, though, if you had sort of come in locked and loaded with, a number of buzzwords. A lot of times, games, the promotional materials, everything will be, if it's not trademark, it's patent pending, and it's and it's just words for doing things, actions that we're already accustomed to doing. But then when they're
dynamic weapon change,
with the buzzword, then that seems like it would get awkward. And then the old one, it's I bring it up a lot because I swear I've seen it hundreds of times over the years, and that's where someone's pointing out that they've got havoc physics, and that means that every time you shoot someone, it's going to be a different game. They're going to fall a different way, and I don't know I've always wondered what it's like to be the person to have to tell me that with a straight face.
It's pretty awful, but people generally don't ask me to do that anymore because I just flub it.
Yeah, they quit.
I can't talk about emergence anymore.
That was the big thing for a while.
Right.
That one, although it's accurate for the Sims games,
Yeah.
I just can't say it anymore because I'm just tired of it. It's because people roll their eyes and fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's we heard that before.
Or to just demonstrate something that really is interesting and emergent, and not having to really attach a name to it. I think it will just speak for itself,
Yeah.
Kind of like some of the stuff, Peter Mullen has been talking so much about the things in Fable, and it's if half the time, half the demos I've seen, to give him credit, have been when he's telling you what you can, there's just a screen, and the game's just on in the background with nothing happening, and he's telling you about all these things that can happen in this canvas, but instead, if he just showed me, I would be...
But Peter Molyneux, he's one of my heroes because, just like Will Wright and Miyamoto and all of these legends who have been around for such a long time, the thing I really admire about them is, first of all, they're still working. They're putting in the time, they're putting in the hours.
Yeah.
And secondly, all of them have just been kicked in the teeth and flopped at some point in their career where people are that's it. You jumped the shark. Your career is over. And they just dusted themselves off and said, nope, I'm going to get back to making games. I love those guys.
And I think Peter's even the movies, I think it was ahead of its time. If that had come out maybe now or in the next couple years, and it was all online from the beginning, it was a free online game or something, like a Battlefield Heroes.
Well, I love Black and White. I thought Black and White was great. I know that there was a big to do about it. Got too many good reviews, but it's still a great game. You open up, it's hey, that's really cool. Now, once you hit the hardcore puzzles, maybe it.
I'm glad that there are people like him, otherwise who's going to be making those games right now at that budget, we'd see them on the various, Xbox Live and places like that, but...
Which reminds me, Puzzle Quest expansion's out today, right?
Oh, don't tell Ryan that.
Ryan loves
hardcore
that game.
Puzzle Quest nerd.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, I think I'm waiting for the sequel.
Galactrix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looked cool.
I tried to weasel a pre-release copy at the show. I may have succeeded.
Oh, yeah?
I know that one of the ladies who works there, she used to work at Sony. I was begging. Come on, I won't steal ideas, please.
So when you say sequel, you mean the plot continues?
I think it's a sci-fi one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's...
Oh, so it's set in a different universe.
Puzzle Quest in the future.
Okay. So maybe there'll be a comic book in between the two to time together.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe an animated comic book. Be pretty cool.
So, Rob, what's some of the least likely places you and the people you work with have drawn inspiration from the games that you make? Since you bring up Puzzle Quest, it doesn't immediately come to mind. I mean, it doesn't even have to be within games.
I could prompt you a little on that one. Not to, I mean, I'll let you talk. But as soon as you asked that, Sean, I thought about when we came to your office for the Sims 3 cover story, and you showed Sean Malloy and I all those prototypes, all those different games you made, where you had all the different developers were assigned to prototype a game based on what was it? It was a certain concept.
We did a bunch of one-day prototypes. One was on caring. So some of the ones are kind of weird, I guess. Is a lot of study of ethics through the ages, because when you look at ethics, a lot of it is how you treat human beings and what those edges are, and so that's really of interest to the Sims, is how far we can push it, and at what point does it cross a certain ethical line. So Kant on ethics is one of the bizarre. That sounds awfully pretentious, but it's true.
Hey, you can. There's the escape clause, because like all the Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes are all basically based on Stuart Mills and Kant and all these. I mean, over and over again, these same dilemmas and scruples.
Utilitarianism.
Right.
And I think computer programmers in particular, we're fascinated by the idea of ethical rules. It's like, can we program a set of rules that like cover it? No is the answer, but it's a noble thing to try and look at, because it's really interesting, how you can get math to fit ethics.
What about the temptation to
the lamest answer I've ever given to anything in my life?
I'm letting you off the hook.
Thank you.
What about the temptation to be inspired by something and then just have this drive to want to incorporate it or some facet of it into the game, when either you're the only enthusiast for the idea on the team.
Oh, I've been there, yeah.
Or just a daily thing, right? I mean, you work from a design doc, and there you have it. And it's not like, unlike when I was talking to the marketing guy for Postal 3, and he didn't seem to be able to account for a lot of the things in the game. That in that game's case, it seemed as though it really was a matter of you get an idea, you just throw it in,
Right. I run into that a lot. There are things that I think are particularly cool. So when we made Open for Business, I was obsessed that everyone in the world would want to run their own bookstore. So we had to have the deepest ability to create your own bookstore in the Open for Business pack that you possibly could. Turns out nobody else really
No one
down
cared
about
about running a bookstore.
I did, but
what did they want to do? What kind of businesses did they want to run?
First of all, they wanted to make houses of ill repute. They figured that out real quick.
That was the first.
Boom! And we thought
hey,
they can't figure this
out, man.
Yeah.
You give them a chance to become professionals.
Then a lot of restaurants. A lot of people, which I guess is right. Everyone sat in a restaurant and said, "I could do this better."
So brothels and restaurants.
That's
sex
Running
and
a
food.
restaurant is another weird,
Go
ubiquitous thing, and right? I mean, say if you're an immigrant and you come over, and for the first generation you're starting a business, often you do what you know, and it's run a restaurant. You have that end of the spectrum, but then you have all these people who are already, rich and wealthy and well-to-do in their society, and then what do they want to do? They talk about retiring and opening a restaurant. Yeah. We've had even Shane Bettenhausen works here, and one time it came up, what else would you do if you're not doing this? He said he wanted to open a restaurant. It's like, what?
Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a human need. But I was one of those immigrant guys who came to when I first came to the States, because I'd been brought up in a fairly small village in England.
Limited options, man. We're gonna open a fish and chip restaurant.
Yeah, well, English. We have many strengths. I don't think food is one of them. But I was one of those sad immigrants, sat at the food court at the mall going, I can't believe how many choices there are. It's fantastic. Look at this. Look, there's Chinese. There's everything.
And they all suck.
They were all fantastic to me.
Okay.
I was from England,
right,
and outside of the city. Trust me,
Right.
I think
it wasn't boiled. It was great.
Right.
Maybe it took you 10 years to cross the ocean or something. Because I'm sure you have the same range. You got stuck in the Bermuda Triangle because I'm sure you have the same range.
No, man.
Because if you look back here, right, in our day, what are your choices? You get a cracker or you get chicken and a biscuit. That's the extreme end. And nowadays, it's sun-dried tomato and cracked pepper, or you can get it with curry on them and there's just so much more variety now in general, to go along with, the changes in demographics in the country and stuff.
Although a little known fact, that it is a fact, I assure you, is if you get a chance and you go to England, eat at Kentucky Fried Chicken. It is better in England than it is in America.
Really?
And I take the taste test. That's my. I'm not an investor, but you really should.
The English chickens are tastier or something?
They actually, so that you get little lemon soap paper napkins. The chicken is less greasy. The sides are different.
So the whole experience is just nicer.
It's a finer dining experience.
Can you rub the chicken leg on the wall and see outside?
No, you can't. You can't. It really is better.
So is it called?
It's one of the few things that you can eat that's better in England than here. Huh. So I'm pushing it.
Hey, I'm a big fan of. I next time you go, send me up some Roundtree's fruit gums.
That's good stuff.
That's my number one candy right now.
That's all right.
I'm curious now about this Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You got to try it
in England.
You got to try it.
I want confirmation from some English podcast listener. Go to our forum and confirm whether Rod is full of shit or not.
Sims 3 is like, it has in-game restaurants, and on the back one of the bullet points is like, not the American
God, that'd be
KFC,
good. If I was that evil, that'd be so
based
awesome.
on the Manchester Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You got to do the comparison, though, between America and the UK.
Okay.
Yeah,
How are you even going to get those two in one place for that taste test?
You do what I do. You eat here, you get on a plane, you get off the plane, you eat there.
Wow,
there
you're that rich.
You need
Bring some chicken in your bag.
It's not a private plane.
Okay.
They say that makes all the difference.
I guess I might believe you. I can see that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. I can believe the aesthetic experience would be better too. That you get like better sides and it'd be...
Well, the English service isn't particularly good. I mean, it's polite, but you get abused. So it's a kind of a balancing act.
Depends on which KFC you go to here. Like KFC in Berkeley, where we live, and like all the restaurants there, like right on San Pablo, they've got like bulletproof glass and stuff on their
yeah, they do.
Like something's up.
So sad.
Like the state of a town by how like if you can't use a public restroom, it's a fucked up place. Like even Barnes and Noble, they don't have the bathroom. Or like when Taco Bell, when there's bulletproof glass to conduct a transaction. So it's like, I'm gonna give you $3 and you're gonna give me a fucking 2 tacos, and it's like a Mexican standoff, or it's like trading items in Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah. I'll put down the food and you put down the money at the same time.
Yeah, we'll both run at each other. Imagine like people pointing guns. I wrote like the stupidest like short story about that, where like it was about going through that San Pablo Taco Bell thing, and there's how there's actually they trust their employees so little that there's a little like digital readout that says your total here. If the total that the employee quotes you differs from this, please call this number immediately. So I just changed it so that was actually a button that went directly to the local police department. Like if you press that, and it ended with like, of course, them like, basically pointing guns at each other, like over the getting the 2 cents back and change.
We were talking about that before the podcast though, but to me, like I'm from England, so I don't care that my son like plays with toy guns. It freaks my wife out because to me, guns are like bears. They're not real. They're not going to show up at your house anytime. It's like bears, guns, they're not real. They don't happen. But over here, it's kind of a big deal, so she freaks out.
That's really interesting. So, like, growing up in England, there isn't this sort of, like, because certainly in my house, both when I was a kid and then as a father, too, there was a big thing about, like, don't let, like, to this day, and my daughter's 14, I will not play games where I'm shooting things on screen just to not badly influence my kid.
That's because you're a Berkeley dad,
Well,
though.
that's true. I am a Berkeley. I'm living in Berkeley in California with a French wife who's very left-wing, et cetera.
Most of our parents will just turn on the most fucking repugnant shit. Just let it play, and you give you BB guns and toy guns. They used to be black and look exactly like the real thing.
I played Army as a kid in Los Angeles, but my parents, who were kind of hippie-ish, frowned on it too, so I did this behind their back. Like, we wouldn't do it at my house, but we'd go to one of my friends' houses and we put on our Army fatigues and shoot each other with sticks back then. But
no, all I had given was toy guns when I was a kid.
So there wasn't like a stigma from your parents or
none at all, because what was going to happen? It wasn't like I was going to go and get one.
Right.
It was England. So my first memory is playing with toy soldiers in a sand pit. And then my first big toy was a plastic M16. You pulled the trigger and it made a noise. It was awesome. That's so cool.
So
we used to run around the garages and on the back of the house, and we all used to play. And I was the king of the roost until I smashed it.
So is your wife American?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Okay, so if you brought home an M16 for you have a 5-year-old son?
Yes.
Let's say you came home tonight with an M16.
Oh, toy one, right?
Or a toy one.
Yeah, or a toy one. All right, we'll go with a toy one.
And handed it to your kid. Would your wife be pissed?
Yes. No, it would go immediately into the trash.
Really?
It's different now too though. Like first thing would be like if it was bright orange might make some difference. But I mean then there's the other case. You give like the kind of guns that we played with as kids to your kids now. They go in the street and a police officer will shoot them or something, you know? Like
yeah, even if like say it was like purple, bright purple with whatever.
That would be
Barney
frowned.
on
That
it.
would be frowned upon. I might be able to swing it maybe one, or maybe. But if it was a water pistol.
what if it was
she's
a
adamant.
Nerf Oozinator?
I don't know.
Wait, what if it was a? Let's just do it this Tim for the next half hour.
She's getting,
Hey, you said you like ethical scruples, man. We're holding you to it.
the first time that he opened up on my 1-year-old daughter with a Nerf bullet, not like boo and knocked her over. I think that I would be in trouble for it. So because I'd be the arms dealer bringing it into the country. That's a failed state.
So how is she about gaming in general? You're a game developer. It's your profession. I assume you're also a gamer.
Yeah.
Is she a gamer?
No. She disapproves. I think mildly disapproves of what I do, and would rather wish that I had a different kind of career. She's not into it at all. But again, I've it's a bad time to ask because the other day she came home and my son was running around playing Army, which is very unusual, and so that raised her eyebrow. And then he said the phrase, Dad, we're going to make our own Bad Company. And as she knew the title of the game I'd been playing, Bad Company, she was not. And then he said, by the way, Mom, Dad let me blow up the buildings and pull the trigger on the gun.
Shit.
And then I was just totally...
You're busted. Yeah, you got to train him.
Totally depth charge.
Don't talk about games in front of mommy.
Right. That's phrases you don't like to hear. Don't tell mommy. Yeah, that's...
Well, while we're on the topic of guns, to reassure you, I don't want to let this opportunity pass by, but also to reassure you that you guys are both good parents. Like when we do it, we had BB guns, and I remember my friend Alvin, he told us, Thane, who was with us, he's like, go change the target. And then he pumps the gun like 10 times and shoots him in the ass, like as he's as he's changing the target. And it's like, why'd you do that? You know, because Thane's rolling around on the ground screaming, and you look at Alvin and ask him why he did it. It's like, because it was funny.
Wow.
Kids and guns. It's good stuff.
Well, I shot guns in Boy Scouts, so that's how I. That's how
responsibly.
I learned to shoot guns. Yeah,
had some
Well, that's the
loving
reason.
father-like figure.
Right. It was like a
and
basically like a Jewish Boy Scout troop. We weren't exactly thugs, We were going straight from Hebrew school to the rifle range, pretending we were shooting Nazis. Went home and had our chicken soup. I don't know. Whatever.
Where's this
Stop
going?
me talking. It's not going anywhere. I'm just talking. Let's move on.
Those were the good old days. So that's interesting. You're saying that your wife. I mean, of all the franchises you handle, I mean, there has to be some people in gaming where they're like, if only I wasn't working on Postal 3 or something. I was working on The Sims. Then my wife would understand.
Yeah, she doesn't like it. My brother, who lives in England with his wife, he and his wife loved The Sims, and they loved it before I worked on it.
That's great. So does that validate you a little bit more?
Yeah. Although if you met my brother, it's annoying because he's just much more likable than me, so I don't try not to talk about him, so people don't get to meet him.
I wish your brother was on this podcast.
I need to see it. That's the way all growing up.
Next week, Rod's cooler brother.
He is. He's cooler, and everybody who meets him, like all my friends growing up, like I try not to let them meet my brother because they all preferred him. They're like, "Hey, your brother's really cool, man."
You got to put him in.
Not.
You should put him in Sims 3 as like some big dork.
That's my revenge.
Some guy that everybody hates wants to kick his ass.
Then he'll be sorry.
Sort of the village idiot. Wandering around and knocking on the Sims houses. Hey,
that'd be good. I like that.
So you got to be somewhat nervous. Not that like there's much likelihood that the next Sims is gonna tank or anything, but I mean. Given its built-in success so far, I mean that would be pretty horrible, right? I mean, like, what is that your worst nightmare? Like, say if you take this unstoppable franchise,
Right, and stop it.
and you're associated with
I kind of like that, actually. Drive it into the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I'd probably have a bigger name by doing that than actually doing a good job. Right? Could be like, well, sure, it's
the
whatever.
man who killed the Sims franchise. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Well, I mean, I get that every time we release a game. Because the sad truth is, and I wish it was the opposite, but the sad truth is that no franchise name will sell a game for you. It just won't. And God knows I've tried. Slap the Sims name on something, and it does not equal sales. Our customers
do you think that that's true across the board though? Like I remember, like when I was surprised when Medal of Honor Rising Sun came out, and I thought it was a mediocre shooter,
Right.
at least by the series' own standards, and it did over 1 million like right away.
Right.
I mean, you could disagree with me on that, but it's like, I mean, I think
I wasn't
I can
involved
think
in
of
it.
cases where it's like I'm pretty sure that the brand's playing a pretty significant role, and the fact, of course, look at how many sequels, right, that EA publishes.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason they're publishing sequels rather than new IP. I mean, EA does publish new IP all the time. There's many coming out this year, but there's a reason why they're mixing those eggs in the basket and not.
I'd say that there's a difference between franchises that have an aspiration to them, like being a hero in the Pacific, versus one that is gameplay oriented, which is The Sims. I don't think that there's much of there isn't a aspirational fictional fantasy associated with The Sims that's as strong.
Changing diapers.
Right.
People
It's
do see
sort
that.
of what you make it. So I think that the gameplay really does matter.
Wait a minute, though. Let's see if that's. I just want to challenge that. I mean, because when you look at the expansion packs, and again, I speak from like.
Which are fine products. I'm happy to defend the expansion.
But aren't they aspirational, right? I mean, they're about you get these houses, you get an HM pack, you get to go on the shopping sprees that you maybe can't really afford to go on in real life. I mean, people who can buy Sims can shop at H&M or whatever, but they're not going to be buying everything in the store in the way that they will with the expansions and stuff. I mean, I don't know, like yachts and all these things that you get in Sims. I mean, it seems fairly.
That is true, but that's based primarily off a lot of focus groups we do with each pack. Because we want without wanting to use the business word, because we want a repeat business, we don't want to mess it up. And some packs do sell a lot less than others.
Mm-hmm. In this case, what I'm bringing up about the packs is not that it's a matter of cashing in on the name or using the name to sell itself, but the aspirational thing though.
Right.
I mean, you're saying that like in Medal of Honor Rising Sun, you're saying, okay, I want to be an American GI in the Pacific Theater, World War II. In this case, I mean, I'm saying. It's kind of like aspirational lifestyle, right? Like people watch Cribs and stuff like that, and it's like here in The Sims, you get to put together this perfect world. And
I think it's extra. I think it's extra tools that you can use to be creative. But I think that the great unspoken secret of The Sims is the people who play it. I don't think regard the game the same way as people who don't play it do. So I think the people who play it would say, "Yeah, I tell stories, but that's because I'm creative. It's it's stuff that I do." I don't think that someone who buys, Seasons is saying, I'm really attracted to the idea of winter or these things. They're like, hey, I've got extra tools to tell my story. So I think it's a little bit different. But I know what you're saying. I guess I talked myself into a corner.
Do you think that people who who use The Sims to tell these stories are largely like aware or self-reflexive of the stories they're telling about what they say about themselves? I bring this up because Sean Malloy was on our staff, and we did this this series of essays on the way that we play games, and what it says about ourselves. And in his case, it was about The Sims. It was the franchise he used, and
it changes a lot. So Sims players, when you talk to them, one of the things I find most interesting is when they change from third person to first person mid-sentence. So a lot of Sims players will say, I went on a date, but my Sim messed it up. That's a really interesting thing.
That's a weird.
I think that each person's gameplay within The Sims is different. So I don't think it's unusual for a lot of core gamers to play The Sims to have sex with lots of chicks. And it's like, I'm gonna make the dude, and we're gonna do this. I'm gonna make how my house looked when I was that age, and we'll see what happens. And I think that is one of those unspoken things that a lot of core gamers do.
And that you got to you can't thwart those expectations.
No, it's all right. I embrace it. I think it's good stuff. I also think, I know that a lot of core gamers buy The Sims and the expansion packs, whether they want to admit it or not, because we talk to them.
So is it like Sims a closeted activity among a lot of people?
For some reason, I think when it comes to online gaming, online gaming forums, I think it is a little bit. I think that so we do a lot of reach out to our customers, and so what we'll do is we'll have focus groups for each pack, and before they come in, you ask how much do you play, and so we'll say things like, we'll have a bunch of guys between 16 and 25, all of whom play The Sims 10 hours a week. And then once they get in a room together, we'll say, how often do you play? Well, I pick up my girlfriend's copy occasionally, and
that's awesome.
What do you do in the game? Off camera, they've said they do furnishings and they like building little houses. They go, bank chicks, that kind of thing. I guess get the car, get to the top of the career ladder. I get back to playing COD 4. Kick a little ass.
If only awesome. You could take that take that footage and then juxtapose the two and release it. It's like, well, I really want. I'm really hoping that you put in more colors of paint for the walls and stuff. I mean, I really felt limited that way.
I was at the E3 conference. I mentioned spiral staircases, and I believe there are a couple of reporters in the audience who were brave enough to cheer, and they were like, "Oh wait, no fuck, no, I'm not meant to like spiral staircases." Spiral staircases are good. You can do a lot of cool houses with them. It's all right.
Has an opportunity for an IKEA themed expansion pack ever come up?
We've just done our IKEA stuff pack.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding.
You should be
it's
in
real.
marketing, Sean.
And it's #1 in the charts. It knocks Spore off the top.
Did it?
There you go.
Take
Booyah.
that, Will Wright.
In your face, right?
Like what you aspire to is just like imitating your. I mean, what's that about? Is it like you say, but there's a game that's got
dig out of the IKEA one,
my life in it. So then my life must be good. They're making games about it. I mean, like what's going on there?
I mean, I think that a lot of the reason for the Sims success is just if you go into a bookstore, look at the amount of categories of drama, romance. There's a whole swath of categories that just games generally don't cover, and the Sims covers them all. Mm-hmm. So we benefit.
I would like to. I'm not one of those closeted Sims players. I'd like to.
Sure.
I'd like to find. I mean, I like the idea of it, and I'm glad
you're wearing a Sims shirt though. The users can't see that, but that's okay, man. That's all right.
I like that just for the style. It came with the expansion pack. I threw the expansion away.
Kept the shirt.
Kept the shirt. But I like the idea of it, and it's like I want to be able to get into it. But the one time I tried it, it was the Xbox version.
Right.
And it was just like...
That doesn't count.
This character needs to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes and needs to sleep, and it's getting irritable. And it really felt like babysitting. I was like, what the fuck do I want to do with this?
Right.
But I heard about all the great stuff. People like, you could make him go crazy and build him in a tiny room, and I didn't see none of that. I just saw a guy that had to crap his pants every 5 minutes and got cranky if he didn't sleep every 30.
You had to take care of him, Sean. It's your responsibility.
I totally get it. I was like you once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the Sims.
Before they started paying you a lot.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, I want to know in the IKEA expansion, do the Sims have to make their furniture?
No, they don't.
Do they have to go through an IKEA, find their way through that thing? Because then you can introduce some cool navigational puzzles.
No, you can get it and build by.
The pathing would be so difficult.
You can make your own IKEA store if you'd like.
Oh, you can?
I'm sure that's a fantasy. Man.
Yeah, then you have to eat, because you have to eat every 10 minutes or whatever it was. You can get your lingonberries and meatballs, and
that's all good stuff.
Keep hitting it up. But IKEA, that seems weird to me too. That like that would be like having a Walmart expansion in a way, because IKEA furniture is like. It's like Tinker Toy stuff, it's like shitty. I mean, when I look at it and I think about how living standards have changed,
high quality product,
and you look at a century ago, far fewer people had really high quality furniture, but the ones that did, it was real nice handcrafted stuff. And you look at this, and it's like it's all particle board with a sticker, the color of wood on it, like everything.
But if you want to make your life when you're in college,
then you need it.
Then you'll need it.
My CD towers are IKEA. I admit it.
Most of the shit in my house is IKEA. That's all I can afford. I can't lie about it. I mean, I have it, but that's the difference between saying I need to get a game where I can get the same shit, digital version. Will it break when I move it once?
Well, that's why I want the Sims to have to make
bottom of the shelf sag.
I want them to get
out.
all frustrated at the instructions, that have no words on them.
It's a fantastic pack.
So what about the Walmart one? Do you think is that like out of I mean, is that beyond comprehension that there would be a virtual Walmart Sims pack?
We choose
Dollar store.
We choose our partners carefully.
99-cent store expansion pack.
Dude, no, there's something. I mean, the
Guys are
Walmart.
brutal.
There's a lot of people going there. I was at a Walmart in Clear Lake this weekend. It was some sad shit. I mean, all Walmarts I think are sad fundamentally. I'm speaking. This is not our guest. So in case you are, I don't want to like hurt your ability
I'd just like to say
sign this deal.
if I might just say, because Walmart is one of our biggest customers.
Oh yeah,
that it's a fine store, and I particularly think that their publishing buyers who buy our products for their shelves are great human beings.
That's
So,
Rod
you know,
Humble's
say what you'll-
electronic arts.
my opinions have nothing
Saving
to
his
do
ass
with
again.
Rod Humble, our guest. In fact, he probably finds them odious. But I think Walmarts are personally depressing even when there are no people in them. But this was the one where, like, all jokes aside, every single person I saw in there was obese. Like, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not. And it was also about like 98 degrees out there, so that meant that the
But
obesity
you could say
was
that
on,
about GDC.
on extra display. This was far worse than GDC.
Good point.
Because like
Yeah.
Melissa was like, look, and I was like, okay, what am I looking at? Because every direction I looked, there was something like noteworthy, right? It would be like blog-worthy or something. But then like behind us, there was this one. And it
Isn't
was, like,
Walmart like the biggest games? I think a
think
lot
they
of your
They don't-
listeners
they don't
probably
sell
buy their
my-
games from
They don't
Walmart.
sell my magazine anymore. So their clientele, supreme clientele.
Now I see.
Yeah, it's all bitterness.
I called Fupa and Flapjacks because she was wearing a bikini top and it was pretty gross. And her toenails looked like cellophane tape wrapped up.
Oh God.
I had to get out of that place. Sorry.
What were you doing there?
I was looking for, I don't know what we were doing, getting some snacks or something.
Nothing is
I
sadder
was there
though,
buying marital aids.
than the new 99-cent store by both of our house. Sean, have you been in there yet?
No. Oh, right by your place.
Yeah.
That's great for your property value.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know this thing has been like 3 different things, and every time it goes down the socioeconomic scale,
And
which
it's
is just a bad sign.
it's
So-
sad though because the building, it used to be a theater.
It
or
used to be a
something.
movie theater.
Yeah,
yes.
it's got a really like high roof, with some kind of cool architecture.
Then it was some kind of market, some kind of supermarket. That
it was like
failed.
a Rite Aid or something.
Yeah, then it was a Long's Drugs. Long's Drugs failed, and now it's a 99. And before we didn't know what it was going to be, and we were like, please be Trader Joe's. Be something.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Something-
Well, no, you don't want that. The traffic that would
Whatever. I'd
cause
take
for-
the traffic if it would just not be, another blight on the neighborhood.
Sorry.
Along with the check cashing place and whatever the other crap that's around
Yeah, that's
there.
what they can have inside there, check catching.
And yeah, so it's a 99-cent store now, and I went there on my first day back from Europe, and it was just the worst possible cultural transition whatsoever to go from Italy and Spain and nice places in there into the 99-cent store on San Pablo Avenue in Berkeley. It was just like, oh
Why-
fuck!
That's just
Why
I
would
can't
that?
believe I live
Why
here.
would that be the place you go to on your first day back?
It's
Well, I
like-
didn't go there because I missed it, and
Oh.
I couldn't wait. I needed something there, which is
Oh.
why you go to a 99-cent store.
what did you need there? What did you need?
What I needed was a cheap pair of sunglasses because I was about to ride my motorcycle into the office and I didn't have any sunglasses. So and in fact, I didn't have any when I walked out of the store because I bought them. I walked to my bike, and as I was putting the things around my ear, one of the arms broke off, which is kind of a you get what you pay for.
Hey, Green, nice glasses.
Yeah. So
Here's a good tip for because I used to go to 99-cent stores. Is there is an age between 2 and 4 years old where kids can't tell the difference between a toy they get at a 99-cent store and one you bought from
Oh,
a
yeah.
toy store.
Then
So
they-
you just go in, you go, son, you take whatever you want.
It's
and
not-
he's like a prince, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the age of 5 and above, they learn that the Hulk skin is green,
Yeah.
not red,
Yeah.
or whatever it is at the 99-cent store.
Yeah.
well, that's the old thing about you buy your kids at that age, at that young age, and they play with the box more than the kid.
Yeah.
There's some
Then you
choking
just,
hazards
learn.
in there, though, man. Do you want your kids? What if that stuff is made with lead? Let's be responsible, really.
I'm the guy who lets my kid play Battlefield Bad Company at 5. I've left responsibility behind.
Yeah.
But you had him just shoot the building.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, just shoot the building.
I think he's
Not
gonna-
actual people.
Not
gonna be
people,
okay.
no. He'll survive the trauma, I think.
So what about
he's
what
a demon
about,
at Mario Kart. He beats me.
Really?
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
So is your wife cool with that? Like you guys playing Mario Kart
Yeah,
together?
yeah, she
that
likes
kind of
Mario.
stuff.
Yeah.
How about you gaming on your own? Is that something that you'll do like at night? And does
Oh,
your
yeah.
wife frown on that? Or?
That's generally an issue where if I go down to the study and there's a new PC game I can't play on my laptop, she gets annoyed because she likes me upstairs at night. But if it's in our bedroom playing a console game or on the laptop, she's very happy with that.
Also, it's the company.
Yeah, it's the company.
If you're there,
Yeah.
goofing off with games,
Yeah.
but you're in the same room as her, she's cool.
Yeah. She doesn't like the computer basically becoming the other woman.
This is the
Right.
trouble with PC games. I heard this again and again. You know, Robert Ashley talks about the same thing. You know, when we got him into PC games, it said like you could be, I don't know, you're more accessible if you're sitting on the couch looking at the TV than if you're just in your own world with a pair of headsets on, screaming at people in Ventrilo or something on the computer. I mean, then it's really like turning your back on someone.
But she got into Metal Gear Solid 4. She was into
Really?
it. She started off with like, what the hell is this plot? Because she was just listening to it constantly go on, and then we both kind of got into it. Like we were like, I really want to know what happens. I'm really so. She
Well,
enjoyed
she
that.
watch
that's a
you-
victory
the
for
whole
you.
thing?
That's
Yeah.
great.
She watched you play the whole thing?
Yeah, she liked it.
Was she satisfied with the ending too?
No spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet.
All right.
No spoilers.
Did she like the whole bit about turning a 1 to a 0 or the 0 would turn to a 1 if you didn't turn a 0 to a 1?
The
That was
other
pretty clever, I thought.
the other game was the changing to non-sport. The other game she liked was Grand Theft Auto 4 because
Uh-oh.
she hated the killing, but she was like, go on a date. No, don't dress that way. So she wanted me to dress up. Right.
She was giving you dating tips?
She was giving Nico dating tips because, as we know, it wasn't.
Does she
Right.
like The Sims?
Doesn't like it.
How did she feel when she
Wow.
found out that Nico's dates would basically respond to anything as long as it was new, no matter
You
what
know,
it was?
I think that's our little gamer secret. I think
You didn't let
that really isn't. So it's like no, we built up a relationship.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that you could go on a date in Grand Theft Auto 4 and go and watch a Ricky Gervais
Yeah, that's
stand-up
cool.
content. I mean, that was like a cool moment. It's like, yeah,
I
wanna-
felt like, it was fun, like I was dating a blind chick, though, because I would hit up basically the equivalent of, like, the Russian dollar-only store, and I would grab shit without looking at
Which
it.
one's the blind? Which one's the blind chick?
Well, she's not really blind.
Oh,
She
like
might-
it.
She
Oh,
might
okay.
as well be
Yeah.
blind when I got in the car wearing, like, this fucking clown outfit of random shit I grabbed in a hurry. She's like, oh, nice new shoes. Nice ding. Nice new jacket. Ding. Nice new shirt. Oh,
But I
it's
do
like,
like that
yeah,
they gave you shit
baby.
if you didn't change, though.
Yeah.
I like that she would comment on it if you didn't.
She knew it.
Right.
The car. Steal a car with her in the car, and then she'll compliment me on the new car.
Which I can't remember. Would she say anything if you jacked a car in front of her? I can't remember now.
Not when I did it. That was the thing I was complaining about. I mean, this is nitpicking, but yeah, it's like I took her on a date, and this very same one where she was saying, I'm worried about your connections. I don't like, violent people and stuff. And on that same date, I took her into like, to Chicken House and beat the shit out of like everyone in the fucking restaurant with her as a witness, and got back in the car. And then she's just like, I'm just glad you're a nice guy.
I love the fact that some of them. I took one of the. Nico took one of the chicks to the strip club, and she was appalled. But one of them was into it, which I just thought was hilarious. Yeah, the nurse, she was into it. She was like, oh, "You like those ladies?"
Huh.
It was good.
Wow.
She was into it.
Yeah, she was into it. Spoilers, sorry.
Did your wife see you go to the strip club?
No, that was little gamer time.
Did you
Well,
feel,
a long time for that scene. Yeah.
did you feel dirty about it?
Oh.
I did. I felt weird in
Oh.
those scenes. I told you
Let me
guys
think
before
about
we
that.
podcasted that I stopped playing GTA when I got to the mission where you basically had to wipe out everybody in the strip club, because usually my wife's home when I'm playing that, and I just didn't. That was like everything bad all in one room. The strip club and killing everybody. It was like, wow, I just don't need her to see me playing this.
No,
it's going to
yeah.
validate everything she hates.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that in front of my family. That'd be after they've gone to bed. But
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I love those games is so I can be the most evil person.
I mean, do you feel like, but the fact that you're waiting until after they go to bed, I mean, do you feel like you're pulling like the issue of high society out from under the couch when everyone's like tucked in for the night, like?
Well, I mean, some of it's, some of it is entertainment that you like.
It's got to be that way, yeah.
It's not stuff that's family appropriate.
The kids will get old enough, and you could say, "Hey, it's time to learn about some games."
Yeah, I don't know whether I'd ever share that moment with my kid. You're confusing me now because I've got a daughter as well. It's wrong.
Yeah.
I can't even think
Just
about this
period.
anymore. No, it's just wrong. I'm moving to Antarctica when she becomes a teenager.
Well, that's weird. Like the way that it would break down. Like Jeff, you got a daughter who played World of Warcraft, and personally, I mean, this is just speculative.
Sure.
But I think I'd probably like be less concerned about my daughter, when she was like 14 or something playing GTA than I would about her playing Warcraft, and that's because I'm a strong believer in people's ability to to differentiate, fantasy, portrayal of, fantastic scenes from real ones, other than, sociopaths and people who have things, wrong with the neuropsychology, and then also being in communication with real people who might be predatory or who might just be mean or whatever the case may be. I mean, when you're dealing with other people, that's like, it could be probably it's more dangerous playing Habbo Hotel than it would be, I think, for most
right
people to
I mean,
play
it's funny, as she's gotten a little older here now, I'm more concerned about that than I was back in when she was like 8 to 12 and playing World of Warcraft. Or when did she start playing? I guess around 10, because there was more innocence involved there, and just it wouldn't even have like crossed her mind, and she just had a good head on her shoulders all along about not talking to strangers, quote unquote. Whereas at 14 now, I would believe that she, like most teenagers, might be more susceptible to some shifty kind of
There's
talk.
like the virtual equivalent of making your daughter wear like a long dress or like baggy pants or something. That's make her roll male characters in every MMO.
Yeah, I don't know if you're kidding or not, but actually that
You have to be a dude.
yeah.
You got to be a troll.
Well, yeah, or a troll female would be fine because they're pretty ugly. But actually, I mean, she's out of it anyway. So she followed the standard teenage demographic, which I'm sure, Rod, you have studies on this, and maybe it's different for your own franchise. But when she hit 13, gaming stopped being really kind of part of her life, and she got way more into just social networking shit. So for her, it's all Facebook and MySpace and instant messaging and all that. So she'll game a little bit with me, but for the most part, she's out of it.
That's why Rod's been working on integrating Facebook with and MySpace with The Sims.
It's actually that is our main competition. I mean, it's funny, most of the time when I get asked about competition with The Sims, it's what game, and really it ain't. It's generally social networking is what hits us the hardest, and that and racing games for bizarre reasons.
The same boys that are like keeping half of your games and your business division afloat are the ones taking away your audience in Sims.
Right.
When Jeff's daughter hits that age.
Yeah, but she's not interested in The Sims really either now.
She's interested in boys, is what I'm saying.
Well,
the boys are on MySpace.
We can't.
Yeah, we're not.
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, no.
Well, we gotta
she's not.
face the facts.
No, she's
we
not.
gotta be realistic here.
No, we don't have to be realistic.
No, we don't.
You've got two dads here. We don't.
Yeah.
Trust me. No, I'm just going to stay in denial.
I was thinking for a while there, at the risk of oversharing, for a while when she was younger, I was thinking, I really hope. We're all guys here, so we talk about this. I was really hoping that she might just be gay, because I was thinking, guys fucking suck. We do. As far as women go, we suck. We don't treat them right most of the time. We don't respect them. We'll dump their ass for somebody like better looking as soon as especially in teenage years. Just like it's like a bad scene back then. Boys are just fucking stupid. And it's like, I don't want my daughter to have to go through that shit.
Yeah.
If she's just gay, she'll just hook up with some nice girl, and they'll like be lesbian nerds together, and I don't have to worry. I can go to bed at night, at 11.
You
not
need to
worry.
see some Kevin Smith movies where he breaks down the types of lesbian.
See, this is the problem. But this is what I realized over time. It's like, well, shit. Actually, girls suck too.
Yeah.
And she'll get heartbroken no matter what. She'll fall in love with some, whatever.
Yeah, I think you're just being a dad. Like, I mean, because you probably are thinking back to high school. You probably weren't like, oh yeah, and I dumped like this chick because like her friend was slightly hotter. You were probably thinking like those bitches, like I wasn't good enough just because I was 15. They had to go and date that 21-year-old because you can get them boozed easier. Like, I mean,
I wasn't that.
No matter how you cut it, there's like guys and girls. Just people do rotten shit.
Right.
I was playing D&D.
The whole time.
That was my teenage years. Yeah, I was playing D&D and war games. That was.
I was playing.
I wasn't an asshole to women.
Yeah, I was
me.
playing like Avalon Hill, war board games. So yeah, girls weren't really in the picture.
Yeah. Now I think of it, makes sense for me. There was that time when I was like, I didn't play so many games, but there were some that made it through there. That like Street Fighter 2 was always, there's always time to bro down for some Street Fighter.
Do you remember?
Bro down? Is that what you said? Okay.
I'm going to look at Jeff because I think you two guys are too young to remember, which is sad for me to say. But do you remember there were like 2 CESs in a row where it was just Street Fighter clones?
Yeah.
And they were sad times. It was like, oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah, the arcade at that era.
Oh, and I was hawking a few of them as well, and it was like, oh, yeah, it's a
History?
fighting game, you know.
Did you hawk Fighters History?
No, I designed a game called Brutal, Paws of Fury.
Oh, God.
And I thought that you remember it. God, I'm sorry. Anyway, but, yeah, I thought...
there with Rise of the Robots. And...
Somebody made a remake of it, which I was just like, awesome. You could have picked a better game. It must have been the music, I guess, was good. But I thought that making a fighting game about animals on a journey to Zen spiritual enlightenment was like a market surefire thing. Yeah, I had the Dalai Lama, who was like a real llama.
Oh my God!
Really?
Yeah, and
wow,
you should have been designing like
Ree the Rat
cards for
Hallmark.
It
was so good. It was so good. It was great.
The character was called Dalai Lama. L-L-A-M-A.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was a real llama.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. It was great.
It was sponsored by the Chinese government. Your whole project was funded.
Yeah.
Who else was it? I was Kung Fu Cheetah. He was one, I think. And Ree the Rat and Ivan the Bear. Because it's not a cliche to have Russians associated with bears at all.
Right.
So when you were doing this at the time,
right?
Did it seem cool to you, or did you know you were kind of slumming?
So the thing I regret most about it is it's funny looking back. I don't regret a lot of games that sold badly or got panned because I knew I did my best. The thing that really bummed me about Brutal was I know I didn't do my best because the original design was I wanted to have a huge scrolling screen, and you started at you could basically fight your way through the entire castle, kicking people. You remember an old Commodore game called Bruce Lee, where you kick people off and you could kick the guy off the ledges. It was meant to be that, but on a huge multi-screen playfield. And eventually I was working through it. I couldn't figure out the design problems when it started. We'll just copy Street Fighter, which is harder than it looks because it turns out Street Fighter's a really, really good design. There's a lot of depth to it. And so I really regret it because I just copped out.
Did you think you were even up to spec with Clay Fighter or Shaq Fu?
Well, Shaq Fu, that's pretty tough competition. At the time, I think I knew that it was. Well, I did. I knew it was that wasn't my best. Therefore, every bad review hurt, and every good review I didn't feel.
Was there some sincere intention to take and spin off some of those characters into platformers? Give them, the whole Ty the Tasmanian Tiger and Arrow the Acrobat and.
No, we would have. I mean, it's sold good, and we could have done a sequel, but I was just I just felt guilty about it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's the same with your guys' work. Is if you've done your best, it doesn't matter if anybody trashes it because you're I know I did my best. I'm really proud of it. But even if something sells good, if you know you didn't do your best, you're oh.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. If I've done something that I feel is not up to speed, and then people call me on it online,
or even if they say good things
about
it,
worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If it feels worse if they call you on it, I actually feel guilty if people like it. If people like it, that I feel guilty then of could have been really.
Was
good.
there a fan club for the game?
I don't know. A lot of people I've spoken to because I've done some talks at universities. There's usually one or two hands that go up and hey, whoa. I played that game. I'm really hoping it's nostalgia talking.
You ever had someone roll up their sleeve and you see a tattoo of the
no. Although the guy who programmed the remake, if he listens, thank you. It's very nice of you. The remake's better than the original game, so I think he fixed some gameplay issues.
How would you feel if it turned out that person did have a big tattoo of one of the characters?
I would think that's fantastic.
The coolest thing in the world would be if the Dalai Lama himself had a Dalai Lama tattoo.
That would all right.
Or
awesome.
It turned out that he was a big fan. Yeah, he gave his blessing to
the
it.
Dalai Lama. Yeah, that'd be all right.
Was it Dolly Dolly, Dalai Lama?
No, it was DLI.
It was
the paint toy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we got. That's the end.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama.
Yeah, we could actually go on if it wasn't for me and my fucking Batman movie. We could probably talk for
Speaking about
hour or two.
Supporting crap. You might as well get on eBay and look for Dalai Lama merchandise.
Hey, come on. It's Chris Nolan. He's a good director.
No, it's probably good. Ryan says it's good.
If Ryan says it's good.
Ryan,
I heard Christian Bale got arrested today for like beating up his mom. Did you hear that? Yeah, did you see that? It was on the news this afternoon.
Trying to sell tickets.
You think? Yeah, and that's a little more cred.
How cynical do you have to be to beat up your mom to sell tickets?
You can't write parody anymore. It's like there's like the stuff in the news about pray at the pump. It's like people with like Ford Expeditions, praying to God to make the gas price cheaper.
Praying?
Like after that, like why is there even an onion anymore? You know, it's like, this world's fucked. That's it. That's the end of the story.
It could be a publicity stunt. Go beat up your mom because it'll give Batman more street cred. You know? He really is like a dark vigilante.
If it was like the guy who played Harvey Dent, maybe
his mom was like stealing some like hotel soap or something, and as Batman, he
it's like the Punisher. He'll cut your hand off for stealing like a Snicker bar at 7-Eleven.
I don't think there's any situation where you can legitimately blame your mom for starting a fight.
Or beat up your mom.
It's like, well, she started it.
Doesn't that it sort of heartens me that about like not being as like rich and successful as a guy like Christian Bale, that like okay, he's like, he couldn't be riding higher in the world. He's the star of the biggest fucking movie in the world right now.
What are you
gonna
box
do? Office record, and he beat up his mom.
Quit going to beat up my mom.
Right.
You're still gonna go see it.
Yeah, sure. Sure I am.
Man, you should have nothing to do with that.
Because that guy died, and he's supposed to be great in it.
He's like, I was riding around on a fucking motorcycle with guns all day. The last thing I want to hear is you asking for some money to pay your rent. It's like, if that thing was real, I'd run you over with it.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough.
Okay. Rod, thanks for coming. I wish we had more time. Will you come back and talk to us some more?
I'd love to. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Handler, will you let Rod come back? He's saying yes. He has a name, but we're calling him Handler because it's more sinister that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Ames.
Mr. Ames. All right. We'll be back next week with more nonsense.